Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting, well, really well informed on the big stories. Today, we're digging into a absolutely critical stage in a legal case that, let's face it, everyone's watching. We're talking about the start of the Sean Combs Diddy trial. And specifically, that intense jury selection process. We're seeing live updates like from the New York Times, and it's clear this isn't just, ticking a box. This is really where the whole trial's foundation gets built. Okay, let's unpack this a bit.
Yeah, it's fascinating because jury selection is always vital, right? But in a case like this, with so much public attention, it becomes something more. It's really about finding people who can honestly try to set aside everything they've heard maybe for years, all the media, the online chatter.
Set aside impartiality, basically.
Exactly, to be impartial. And this stage, it really becomes this sort of silent battleground. It's where the perception of fairness for the whole trial starts.
That idea of perceived fairness, that's really interesting. The Times updates really highlight how meticulous this is. What are some of the specific challenges the lawyers are facing here, given Combs' massive public profile?
Well, the reports, like from the NYT, say the voir dire, that's the questioning part. It's been incredibly extensive. We're not talking simple yes-no answers here. Potential jurors are apparently getting these multi-page questionnaires.
Multi-page, wow.
Yeah, probing into, well, almost everything. Social media history, what news they read or watch, even past experiences with celebrity news or, court cases. It's way beyond just asking, can you be fair? It's trying to uncover those biases, even the ones people don't realize they have.
So it's not just what they say in the courtroom, it's their digital life too. That is a serious deep dive into someone's background. Are there specific, red flags or maybe ideal juror types each side is hoping to find or avoid?
Oh, absolutely. You can see hints of that in the reporting. The defense, for instance, might be pretty wary of people who are super active on certain social platforms, or maybe folks who already have really strong opinions about celebrity culture in general, regardless of Combs himself.
Right, a sort of pre-existing filter.
Exactly. And conversely, the prosecution. They might be looking for jurors who seem really grounded in legal principles, who show they can separate feelings from facts, especially when dealing with such a famous person. It's less about liking or disliking someone and more about how they process information, how those filters, as you said, might work.
That makes sense. That's a critical difference. And with just so much information already swirling around out there, finding genuinely impartial people, that must be tough. Are the legal teams using more challenges for cause, where they have to argue a specific bias exists? Or relying on those peremptory challenges, where they don't need to give a reason?
Well, the report suggests we're seeing a lot of challenges for cause being argued. I mean, think about it. With all the pretrial press on Mr. Combs, it's just really hard to say someone hasn't been exposed to something that could potentially sway them.
Yeah, almost impossible, you'd think.
So the lawyers are working hard to demonstrate specific bias, but those peremptory challenges, they're definitely being used too very strategically. It's like a chess game, shaping the final jury based on maybe broader instincts about who might be more receptive to their side of the story, all before the main arguments even start.
This level of scrutiny, this deep dive into potential jurors' lives right from the get-go, it really sets a specific tone for the whole trial, doesn't it? How does this early phase kind of shape the overall narrative?
Oh, it undeniably shapes it. The fact that this selection process is so public, so thorough, it sends a message, right? It says every single part of this trial is going to be under an intense microscope. This careful approach from both legal teams, it's not just about picking the jury. It's also about signaling, to the public, to the court, that this is going to be a fierce fight over fairness. And in a case this big, that perception of fairness is just paramount.
So what does this all mean for you listening? It means this jury selection, it really is that first quiet battleground. Especially with someone like Sean Combs involved, is where all the groundwork gets laid super carefully, and it starts shaping how we see the trial long before we hear any actual evidence.
And that brings up a really important question, I think. How does this intense, very public focus on just choosing the jury, how does that process itself start to influence public trust and the perception of justice overall, even before the opening statements are made?
It's definitely something to think about. That intricate balance between justice, public perception, especially in these huge high-profile cases, it invites us all to stay curious about how our legal system works, beyond just the headlines.